Hey, what's going on there, folks? Welcome back here to a Monday. It is the Earthmaster here on this end. February 5th, 2024. It is about 12:37 p.m. here, California time. Latest activity on the globe. It looks like we've seen a 1.7 here across Alaska in the green flag. Looking at last 24 hours of earthquake activity out here. Seen some uptick here across the oceanic divergent zone south of Iceland. This is kind of what we're looking for and maybe waiting for a sign that this area up across the region is about ready to see another eruption. We've seen 4 earthquakes here, roughly around the 5 range. Had a couple mid-5 here earlier this morning. The latest one of 4.6, again out into the oceanic divergent boundaries. And of course, what goes on out there does ultimately affect areas up north. The latest activity here in the Iceland region still shows quite a bit of earthquake activity across this rift zone here, just off this little tip here of Iceland, and more so around the Grindavik area, in the area that sees that, or is seeing that magma intrusion, and roughly around the same location where we've seen the last couple eruptive fissure activity events take place. About 75 earthquakes in total. Definitely a noticeable uptick here today. Yesterday we've seen that very similar as well. Now there is a little update put out here, kind of chatting about the magma accumulation that's been building up the Svartsengi area. Total accumulation here of magma is 9 million cubic meters, which has matched the previous eruption that happened back on January 14th there. Far as the accumulation of magma below, it matches that same time frame, or same magma accumulation amount just before the eruption there on the 14th of January, which was estimated between 9 and 13 million cubic meters of magma. So we're building up. We're definitely getting very close, I feel, to seeing another eruption out here. The Icelandic Met Office did put out an update today. Still increased likelihood of a new magmatic dike intrusion, and hence another volcanic eruption, right? Here's the map, so to speak, of where the hazard zones are across the area of Grindavik. They still have zone 3 right here as the main fissure, or the main potential to see eruptive fissure activity. Down here in the Grindavik, zone 4, talking about potential lava flows, earthquakes, fault movements, and whatnot. But I still think, that we're leaning towards seeing some eruptive fissure activity out here further south along this original magma intrusion area, which went underneath the Grindavik area. So let's see what these guys are saying here. Basically the same thing. There is an increased likelihood of a new magmatic dike intrusion ensuing volcanic eruption in the coming days to weeks. It's been roughly about, 30 days in between these intervals of volcanic activity, eruptive fissure activity there. Last one was back in January 14th, and then prior to that, it was around December 14th. So we're coming up on the time period of about 30 days. The magma accumulation is there. It's almost matching the previous level. And notice they did put out a data graph here showing from about the 23rd of January to yesterday's time frame of elevated inflation, and you can see this region once again showing some elevated activity. Here is the previous this is the December eruptive fissure activity, and down here is the January. There was a little one here and another little one. It's been following a trend headed southward. I think it's very possible with the amount of inflation that's going on out here that we could see that eruptive fissure activity continue south here around the area of Grindavik. But we'll have to continue to watch it. Either way, definitely seen some uptick here in inflation in the last week or so, well above potentially 60 mm. in this little time frame. So things are still going up and up and up and up. Just a matter of time here, folks. And along with this activity that we're seeing south of Iceland, I think we could see this thing kick up here. There's that activity. We've seen something similar to this back in January, just prior to the eruption there across the area of Iceland. north of Grindavik. We've seen activity out here across the divergent zone, south and also north. And then, like literally a day later, we notice a lot of earthquake uptick across the area here of Grindavik. And of course, that's when we started to see the eruptive fissure activity. So we'll continue to watch that and report back on it. Things are getting, you know, up to that point right now where we could see things get interesting once again. All right, what do we got going on out here? Quite a bit of little quake activity. Still seeing some movement out here northeast of the Shawnee area, Seminole, Oklahoma, down here. Beautiful area. I got a lot of family actually from this region here, this area of Oklahoma. Couple twos out there in the area that's seen that 5-pointer. So still shaking a little bit. Nothing big, just a couple smaller earthquakes there, aftershocks, I should say. A couple more earthquakes here across the New Madrid seismic zone. Although these look like they are from yesterday here, with a 1.9 and a 1.4 earthquake right around the New Madrid seismic zone. Up into the Pacific Northwest, what do we got going on here? Outside of Mount Hood, a couple smaller earthquakes from yesterday. We had a 2.2, 1.2, and a 0.9 about the southeastern edge here of the Mount Hood area. One little earthquake around Mount St. Helens as well, a little 0.5. But overall, not anything major going on, just a slight little swarm that was kicking up there in this area from yesterday. Yellowstone National Park, let's go run over there real quick and see what's going on across the Yellowstone area. And let's see, are these current? That's the thing, we got to make sure these are current and up to date, which they are. It's the 5th of February, UTC time of 2030, which is right now. About 10 minutes behind there, but that is pretty much matched up here with the correct time. Yellowstone, not seeing too much earthquake activity at all. One little spike here, it looks like around the promontory. I'm not for sure if the USGS reported that. These are from yesterday, so they haven't got to that little earthquake out here. Of course, Texas rocking and rolling out there in the oil fields once again. Southern California getting drenched with quite a bit of rainfall. We'll check out the weather here after the earthquake update. A little swarm going on here south of the border, south of Mexicali. Looks like that's on the southern end here of the Elsinore Fault, which is a fairly lengthy fault system. Runs all the way up here to the, well, the Los Angeles area. A little swarm on the southern end there today. Nothing big, just looks like a little 3.8 and some smaller quakes in that region. And typical activity here across the San Jacinto Fault Zone. What do we got here? A little 3.8. I remember that coming in from yesterday near the Bodfish area. That followed up, that was followed up by a 1.9 little small aftershock there. So not a whole lot going on there today. The rest of California up here, 2.0 near Bridgeport. Northeast of Bridgeport area, it looks like, but nothing too interesting going on there today. We do have one little earthquake way off the coast here of Washington and out into the, well, I'm trying to think which area this is. This is the plate boundary here of the Pacific Plate to the west and the Juan de Fuca Plate here to the east. This is the plate system that is getting shoved down and underneath this area, the North American Plate, the Cascadia Subduction Zone, the megathrust area. This looks like it's in a little divergent boundary zone. Separation of the seafloor, 3.9 late last night. Look at that timestamp, 23/33/13. That's a lot of threes in there. All right, Alaska area, not any major movement going on, just a handful of smaller quakes up there around Anchorage. And some, looks like a 4-pointer out here across the Aleutian Trench from yesterday. The big island of Hawaii, looks like it's still shaking out here. Look at that pattern. Zoop, zoop. Been noticing that over the past couple days here since they said that the activity has been dying down. Let's go see what's going on across Kilauea Volcano today. See if they got any new updates. Maybe they changed their mind and decided to put it back onto... they're definitely updating some new stuff here. They've looks like the default map is now the terrain map, which is pretty cool. You can see Mauna Loa and the Kilauea volcano, and yeah, it's actually neat looking. I like it. A couple tilt meters there around the Mauna Loa area, but we're not really concerned about that right now. We're still looking at the activity around Kilauea Volcano. UWE tilt meter is working, and it looks like we're starting to gradually go back up here. Not a huge jump. As you can see here in the past 30 days, it took a huge nosedive. This is the inflation there across the summit region. The tilt meter that monitors the inflation and the accumulation of magma below creates that swelling. Well, that dropped off when we've seen that huge earthquake swarm. Starting to go back up here now, but we're nowhere near the level that we were at before. All that magma has moved over here now across this region. Unfortunately, we don't have any they don't have any tilt meter stations here within this region that would help us out here. Seismograph stations, yes, they do. And it looks like, are these up to date? They are. All right. Looks like they got it. I know over the weekend they were down like 2 days of old data sitting up there. So they're now back up and running. Still seeing some earthquake activity, but yeah, it definitely doesn't look like what it did before with all that major swarming going on. And the let's see if I can bring in this little seismograph station. Oops, did not mean to do that. Still seeing, see, this one's very close to where the magma intrusion is underneath all that earthquake activity. Still seeing quite a bit here on the graph. There's a lot of little spikes here. That's definitely some earthquake activity. So we still got some pressurization going on here. I just wish we had a tilt meter out here in this area. This one I don't think works. SDH, huh? See, that's when they got that huge inflation, huge magma push there in this region. It looks like, though, it has kind of dropped off since then, and it's kind of leveling off. So we still got some magma accumulation there below. It didn't just disappear. There was definitely a lot that has been moving around down there. Let's see what they have to say today. This is put out... yeah, this is put out today, 9:43 a.m. Hawaii time. The volcano is currently not erupting, and seismicity in the summit and along the fault system there southwest of the summit continues to decrease over the last 24 hours. And yes, we are seeing a little decreasing going on there, but there's still definitely some earthquake activity. The intrusion of magma into this area appears to have slowed, and the likelihood of an eruption has decreased, at least for now. In total, approximately 100 earthquakes, down from 150, have been recorded across this region over the past 24 hours. So there's still quite a bit of earthquake activity. That map I showed you, that graph, little bitty spikes, quite a bit still going on there. But definitely a decrease in activity. Over the past day, tilt meters near Sand Hill and the Bluff area have recorded very little change after the steep deflation of the past 2 days related to magma moving southwest, like I mentioned. Global positioning systems here indicate that about 8 inches of horizontal motion at stations around the southwest rift zone and immediately to the south along the fault system there. So that's a huge uptick in inflation, 20 centimeters, 8 inches. Sulfur dioxide looks like that remains low. So just got to watch this. As with any volcano, fluctuations do occur, and it has a lot to do with what's going on around the plates, right? This is a hot spot area, so to speak. So it's somewhat of a little different, but there's still a lot that goes on underneath the region. We got to watch maybe for some further deeper activity that could indicate a further push of magma into the area. I noticed Loihi Seamount out here showing a little bit of earthquake activity around that seamount, underwater volcano. A couple 2s out there in this region, so got to watch that. This has been somewhat quiet here recently, but it's a new growing volcano. Eventually that will be, land mass over time. Not any of our time, but long ways from now. So we'll continue to watch this activity, watch for some deeper movement quakes that could be indicative there of some further activity with magma potentially moving up. All right, let's see what else we got. Samoa area, 4.5. That's somewhat deep there into the Tonga Trench. New Zealand area, not showing a whole lot here on the map, so let's see what's going on. I see a whole bunch of earthquake activity today, though. It looks a lot more active than normal. New Zealand, a couple threes, it looks like, around that area of the Kermadec Trench, North Island region. They definitely have been seeing a handful of deeper earthquakes there recently. But for now, it looks like that's just some minor movement. And goodness, why does this look so cluttered out here? It looks very active. Look at all this activity here in the last 24 hours. I know some of that is from last night, but let's see what we got today. Quite a few 4s and 5s out there. The latest is going to be that 5-pointer out in the Tonga region. Aside from that, 5.1 deep here into the Izu Trench, or that's going to be the Mariana Trench here. It looks like the northern edge here of the trench. Subduction zone for a 5.1, 185 kilometers deep. Looks like that is adding, let's see what we got here. 5-pointer and a 4.2. This deeper activity looks like it may be straining this region up here. Got to think about it, right? When one portion of the plate makes an adjustment, it can definitely add strain in other regions to show, increasing pressure out here. And it looks like there's a 4.4, fairly recent here within the last hour and a half into the Kuril-Kamchatka, and that's the area that I'm concerned about in terms of producing a mega quake. It's been building up some steam here for a little bit, and that does not take hundreds of years to produce a big earthquake. The accumulation slip rate is quite high there. Papua New Guinea area, what do we got here? 5-pointer, and there's a little 4.9 out here around the Molucca Sea. So definitely active. I mean, I can see it on the Earthquake 3D globe out here today, and this is marked at the last 24 hours. The only thing that I do have on here, I think I have it lowered to about 2.2 and above. Yeah, 2.2. So that's showing a little bit more of the smaller earthquake activity than normal. But that's fine. We'll keep it up there for now. See what else we got going on. South America region, typical activity. Nothing big to speak of for now. Middle America Trench, quite a few 3s and 4s out there. And, of course, got to watch the Iceland area. That's quite active up there along these divergent zones. That's going to have an effect on the activity there across Iceland. Keep an eye on it. Mediterranean, handful of smaller quakes as well. Nothing big going on across the rest of the globe here for now, looks like. Unless I'm missing something. Be interesting to see how Southern California, the fault systems down there, see how they behave with all of that rainfall that they're getting. Goodness. Let's check out the space weather activity real quick, and then we'll get into weather. Looks like we're lowering, going back down here from all that cracking and popping that we've seen yesterday and overnight. Currently flaring with a C1.8 flare. We do have a couple newer regions here to welcome to the party, 3576, and it looks like another newer companion on the eastern limb. This is a massive region here, and it's got some major complex magnetic structure here within the main core of that sunspot. And again, it looks like a newer one a little bit behind that. So a couple different regions we're watching. This one down here, and this massive one that looks like that's building into something potentially that could be, producing some strong flare activity as we head through the week. 3576, and oh, there it is, 3578. That's going to be the newer one, but it doesn't look quite as active as this sunspot and 3575. So continue to watch that there for some flare threat. We are somewhat elevated in the flare level, X flare level, 25% chance, M flare at 60, and the C flare activity around 99% chance. So things are getting up there. But these sunspots definitely need to be watched. No major auroras in the forecast, and it looks like maybe tonight we could see some potential auroras. KP index of around 5 or so, but not really expecting much. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, probably not going to matter. You know, it's not a huge event there. All right, weather outlook here today. Goodness, we have been looking at a massive system out there in the West Coast range. I want to bring this up here. Is this the most recent imagery? I believe it is. Yeah, because we got clear skies out here right now. Well, maybe partly cloudy. We got all of our rain last night. I picked up about 3.5 inches of rain here outside my outside here where I live, outside of Chico, and that was quite a bit. We had a extensive, heavy-duty band of rain, convective band, that dropped. I don't know. It had to have dropped close to an inch of rain in probably about half an hour. It just poured down completely. We really don't get that type of activity out here in Northern California like that, but it came down. Now Southern California is getting the fire hose effect here. A huge band of subtropical moisture streaming up into Southern California. These guys are just getting hammered with precipitation here. Let's go over and check out the radar and satellite imagery down here, and kind of show you guys what's been going on out here over the past. We'll go back the past 12 hours or so, and let that load. Looks like it's loading, I think, right? It should go back. Is it not going to let me? Maybe 6 hours? Okay, this thing's acting a little weird. Either way, that's a lot of rainfall coming in there to Southern California. They got that, you know, basically a flow of moisture from that subtropical band that's coming up, and no doubt it's leaving quite a bit of rainfall around the Los Angeles area, Southern California. These guys definitely getting hammered with precipitation, and for the most part, thunderstorm activity is limited out here across about northern and central California, and a little bit out in the Florida region. These are not big-time thunderstorms. They're just general thunderstorm threat out there. But definitely kicking up down there in Southern California. Let me put this into motion here and see what it looks like. GFS model. There's that band. It just sits there and accumulates rainfall over the area. These guys are not done yet with the rain. They got all night tonight, and it looks like tomorrow as well, before another storm system comes in and hits them. Wow, these guys just have a wet week ahead. Let's see what we got for total accumulated precipitation out here, and this doesn't include last night's activity, so this is just from right now to about Friday or so. Wow, these guys, another 4 inches of rainfall. So these guys are dealing with quite a bit of rain. That's about what I got almost last night here outside of my house. Had quite a few roads out here flooded. Did have some big time wind as well, knock over some trees and whatnot. But luckily the power stayed on here across my area. Didn't even blink. So that made me happy. I was prepared just in case. But yeah, that's a definitely a dandy of a storm that we had last night. All right, what else is there? I think that's about it here for right now, folks. Seismograph stations here across the Hot Caves, Hawaii station, still showing some spikes up there. We'll be off here on the side, getting got to get caught up on some school stuff here today. It's Monday. Have a good night, or a good day. We'll catch you guys back here a little bit later on tonight with a complete update.